Okay, everything's working. Sound is here. What's up, everyone? It's been a minute since we've went live, and today I'm gonna be starting the streams with a promise. So this is my promise. It's gonna be the most transparent, organic dropshipping. You could call it guide. I usually don't like calling it a guide because it sounds like a guru thing. So we're just gonna keep it at blueprint. So I'm just gonna share my blueprint, and it's been a very long time. The last time I've done this was when I first started my YouTube 6 months ago. So yeah, since we have shared the promise, it's time to get started. I'm gonna be like going straight into the point. In fact, I have a 30-day bootcamp which I've done, dedicated to share every single thing I've learned over the past 3 years. But today I'm gonna try to just compress everything into one video, so that hopefully this will be the only guide or blueprint you're gonna ever need for starting. And yeah, the first thing I wanna start with is the importance of accounts, okay? Because in the past, I think the biggest change between this blueprint or this guide and the one I've made 6 months ago is that I didn't highlight the importance of creating a good quality account. And even when I made that one, it was already getting to a point where TikTok was no longer the trend. Like, obviously you could make some sales from there, but majority of the sales right now is coming from Meta. So whether that is IG, Facebook, those two, organically, by the way, no paid ads. We're gonna get to the paid ads later because I have a very important note to share. But yeah, accounts, the reason it's very important is because no matter where you live, if you want to focus on IG, it's gonna be a problem with the reach because IG is a very global platform. So you cannot, there's like a limit to how much you can influence the reach of your account. So obviously if you're creating your account from the US and then you use US IP because you live in the US, for example, on average your reach is going to be way more specific to your region than someone who's living somewhere else. But still, it's not going to be like 100% US. It's going to be maybe 25%, and then the rest is going to be literally it's going to be reliant on the quality and then the niche, or yeah, just like the topic of your content. So let's say you create anime niche, and for this instance we're going to say that anime is primarily being watched by people in EU, okay, as an example. So even if you create a US account and then you watch or create content and post about niche products, anime niche products, your reach might be like 10-15% US, and then the rest is going to be from the EU and then other countries which watches this particular topic. So it's really important. What I'm trying to say here is it's really important what sort of target audience you're trying to hit. So if you want to sell a product that's, you know, for car guys or for anime fans, for fashion, I think these are like the top ones at the moment, but list goes on. Or even football, we've seen a lot of football and camera products. Yeah, it's gonna dedicate, or it's gonna gather views from a certain country, and the way to solve that is by creating a better quality account, which is primarily up to you, but then also there's a few factors which can be called luck. For example, one, okay, I'm gonna give you step by step on how to solve this problem. So I shared to you the problem, which is it's a very global platform, but it makes you the most amount of money. So how do you solve the problem? Number one, you need to have either you create an account with no VPN. So by far I literally use no VPNs for any platform, and I'm still making a lot of sales from the US and other countries, so primarily US. So how do I target the US without a VPN? Um, there's a few ways. Number one, as I've mentioned here, I created very Christmassy content during this Q4, and this was actually one of my best um, tricks, I would say. Like, I don't think anyone has ever spoken about this, the importance of focusing on holidays in terms of content, just to you know attract the type of leads you're looking for. So by creating very Christmassy content, literally all of my views were coming from high quality or like you know from countries like first world countries in general, and usually people who celebrate Christmas, so they're buying gifts and so on. So the likelihood for them to purchase is really high. So that was the first way to gather or improve my reach. The second way is when you create an IG account, you can turn it into a professional account. So the first one is quality, and then the what's the right word for it? It's more like like topic or it's like you want to combine quality obviously, but then you want to combine it the right with the right niche or the right target audience. So always think about your target audience. I'll give you a very good example, by the way, without trying to expose my product. So a very good example would be, there was this trend where they do like a 3-2-1, and then they show the product. Okay, if you've been in the space, you would know what I mean. But even if you don't, it's okay. It's more like a very dumb trend where they just do like a 3-2-1 and then they show the product. So honestly, I don't think that converted much. In fact, I've tried it once, it went viral, it didn't convert. So based off that, I'm speaking. This is a trend which obviously gets views, but it attracts the wrong audience. For that reason, always remember, even if you wanna like, let's say you see something trending, you say, let me copy it. So before you just follow this shiny object syndrome of just looking at views, ask yourself, who is my target audience who's about to watch this? So next time you see a trend, ask yourself the same question, and then if it is attracting the wrong audience, don't do it. Trust me. You're better off getting 10K on average views than getting 100K with no leads. So that's my very first lesson, and it's really important. The second one is create a professional IG account, and then this will unlock a feature which restricts countries based off age. And this is a lifesaver. So obviously, if you work only on the quality, it's not going to be it. This will complete the equation, the formula. So you need to restrict all of the unwanted. So let's say you're creating, I don't know, like this is very flexible. Whatever you're trying to create, try to restrict it from countries or type of, leads you don't think will be interested in your content. You know what I mean? So the maximum age you can restrict up to is 25. So you cannot really just eliminate or remove countries. No, you can just set it up to 25, which is gonna be really good enough, like for the most part. So this is a big life hack. These two will solve all of your problems in terms of the global reach. And then the third one is to just have a lot of accounts, honestly. Like, you cannot really control how good your account is going to be. Again, even if you live in a first world country, you still need a high load of accounts because some of them will be just primed better. Like, they're going to get quicker views and then even like a different sort of views, surprisingly. So this will also apply to Facebook, which I'm about to talk about in a moment. So preferably get 2 phones and then create multiple accounts. And here's one trick, which again, I'm not sure why it works, and I'm not sure why nobody talks about. So everyone knows that you could stitch content on IG. So there's a lot of people who do this unethically. So they would steal content from others, including me. I've seen my content all over social media. So they would remove, or like literally just straight up take the entire piece of content and then post it on their page, and then they take all the the credit for it. They don't share any credit. Why? Because IG allows it. So, or to an extent, I'm not sure if they allow it, but it literally doesn't shadow ban anyone. So for that reason, okay, instead of stealing other people's content, which I don't, instead you could create your original content, and then if you have two phones, you could post it on the first one, and then preferably go back to CapCut and then change literally just one thing of the text. So whether, I don't know, let's say you say anime guys in the first one, and the second one you say anime fans. Since we mentioned anime here, so I'm gonna stick to the same example. So you get the point. You just do like a very small change, and then you export it, and then you post it on the second account, and that way you have two original pieces of content that don't get shadow banned. So that's regarding the accounts. I may have, blended it a bit with marketing, but it's fine. I'll have a different section for the marketing, but you need to understand the importance of accounts. And honestly, this is only for IG, like Meta. In terms of TikTok, obviously you could get a US SIM card, but honestly guys, like this Q4, although I had a US SIM card, it did not help me at all. Like TikTok betrayed me. I would literally I think it's because I got too used to Meta, and I'm like just changing the hook. So I'm basically split testing by changing the first clip of the video, and then I'm exporting and then posting again. So what happened was TikTok was shadow banning me like over and over again. So I would say it was my fault, but for the most part, even the reach is not it. Like, trust me, I've been posting on the same account. So obviously I post on all my accounts at the same time. So I get one video on CapCut, edited, exported, and then I post it on 5 different platforms. So let me break that down from now so that you guys have a better understanding. Back in the days, everyone used to only put their focus on TikTok. So when I first started, organic dropshipping was only popular in TikTok. But nowadays, surprisingly, TikTok is no longer the top platform. In fact, you could like get away not using it at all. So instead, you want to just like remove all the headache of what will convert, just post on all platforms. Okay, so I'm gonna put it in terms of priority. The top priority is Facebook, then it's IG, then it's YT, then it's Snap, and then lastly it's TikTok. So post on all every single time you edit a content, export it at 1080p. So I know a lot of people who like to export it in 4K. Personally, I've tried both, and 1080p works the best with 60 FPS. And then one new feature I started using is AI. So CapCut Pro provides you with AI enhancement. If you would wanna, let's say you wanna stitch an AI video. So there's this trend recently for the Santa trying to like the AI Santa trying to give presents and stuff. So if you want to use any sort of stitching, then preferably enhance it with AI while you're exporting from CapCut, because what it does is it just smoothens out the edges. It makes the FPS smooth. So that's what you should go for. 1080p, 60 FPS. And then if you want to stitch, enhance it with AI. Otherwise, disable AI. Next. Now that we've mentioned what to post on, what are the settings for CapCut and then for posting, which are 1080p. And then we've explained how to prepare your account. So notice that I've not even mentioned the warming up or the priming parts, which everyone keeps talking about. So how to warm up an account. If you're new here, the reason you warm up an account is to make sure that when you start posting, is gonna be posted to relevant people, so people who are interested in your topic. But in reality, you just need to warm up for like a day. It doesn't matter much, because the moment you start posting, especially on IG, there's a very low chance that you're gonna get any views. Most of the cases, you're gonna get 0 views or like 100 views, and that's fine, because you're basically giving it to the algorithms to study your content and try to understand what sort of audience would like to watch your content. So you need to, this game requires patience. You need to actually start posting with no expectations whatsoever, and do it long enough with the mindset that it's going to pay off, you know, especially if you have control over your content. So if you have seen the game over the past year, you would know that we've went through the organic depression. So this was around February or maybe March, all the way till like July. And this was caused by something called stitching. So there was this big downfall in organic because everyone decided to start stitching content, and they created a trend based off stitching. And the problem with it, and the reason I'm mentioning this, is because it limited your creativity and your content creation skills. So you don't want to go into that route. Instead, make it like a rule that you want to create content every single day. This way you're going to improve your content skills and have control over your income. So just knowing that you created this piece of content which went viral and converted is powerful, because it proves to you that you have influence over your income. And a lot of influencers nowadays, they try to tell you not to do that. They just tell you to stitch, which is disappointing. But over time, it's going to be proven that everyone's going to run away from AI content. So if there's 2 brands, one of them is creating AI content, and then the other is creating original content. So this is original content, here's AI. Which one do you think the consumer is going to buy from? The person who's only creating AI content, or the one who's creating original content, authentic content? Obviously the authentic content, because it's just more trustworthy. It's something that you could appreciate for the effort they've put into creating the content. So I truly think this is where, like, by the way, I'm very into AI, but I truly think the skill of creating organic content is gonna only see more and more appraisal of how important it is. So keep that in mind and try to improve from now with it. So I would say we have, for the most part, have gone through the first point, which is the account. Next it has to be the product. So number 2 is the product before the marketing, because it's really important. I'm gonna look at the chat every now and then if there's any questions. If you make a topic video, you will get 2026 sauce. Explain, Monor, what do you mean? Yeah, so next point, the product. This is obviously the most important thing, but again, it won't be completed without the account. So even if you had the best product out there, without a good account, you're not going to convert. Nobody's going to see your content, your product, and you're going to make 0 sales. So how and what is a good product, first of all? So I'm going to say it from now. Untapped products. Untapped products are not what's going to make you like the 100K or whatever. Okay, it's not like the goal of organic dropshipping or any other dropshipping, in my opinion. Running untapped products is actually only gonna waste your time, but then also is gonna most likely just not improve you in terms of your skills. Why? Because if you want to look for an untapped product, number 1, you don't have competitors to look at their content and then improvise to find ways to, you know, improve their content, but instead you have to like reinvent the wheel in a way. So that's a very big downside to it. So it's gonna, what did I do here? So it's gonna force you in a way to reinvent the wheel. And I'll tell you what the problem with reinventing the wheel is. So obviously, I mean, by running an untapped product, you're not only just reinventing the wheel with the product, but also with the marketing, because you don't know what to create for that certain product. So it's a big problem, because reinventing the wheel means you don't have a proven concept, okay? And going viral in general is more like um, it's like trial and error until something actually sticks, and it takes a while. So how does a trend actually become a trend? It's a series of split tests or trial and errors, okay? So people creating original content. So they're technically trying to reinvent the wheel, right? They're doing it for long enough, and then there's like millions of people trying to create these trial and errors until one of them sticks out and becomes a trend. So why would you become a contributing factor amongst the million instead of just picking this one trend and then following it, but then giving it maybe your own twist to it, so your own character to it, or maybe using the same format or the same trend but then with a different niche. You know what I mean? So it's more like you're adding to the wheel, is what I like to say. So that's what I actually do, like nowadays. So obviously I don't like to follow everyone, but I still follow the trends. So I check what's working, and by the way, this applies to marketing and to products. It's very linked. So the same with products. It's gonna make sense in a moment. So instead of going for untapped products, you wanna go for quote by quote saturated products, but not any product. Okay, don't think I'm one of those gurus. I'm not gonna tell you just run any saturated product, because trust me, when I was learning and trying to like do this on my own, I never bought a course. So I used to watch all these free videos, and they always said this, or some of them would like, let's say this is a product right here. So they would show you this product, which has been going viral right now, and they would say, yo, I made like 7 figures or 6 figures with this. The problem with it is that anyone can do that. They could just pull up like a viral product and tell you they made 6 figures with it. But no, I'm not just saying that. I'm saying pick a product which is trending, okay? But then it has to follow a criteria. So it needs to be following this criteria, which I'm about to share right now. I made an entire bootcamp for this, but I have to share this again. This is really important, okay? So it needs to be very flexible in terms of marketing. What do I mean by this? So you don't want to run a product which is only to one target audience. Preferably try to run a product which has the capacity to be, created for, let's say, women and then for men. So that way you could create 2 different brands. One of them is for women and then the other one is for men. This is just a broad example. Another example would be, I'm going to give you this example, which is like the best example I could give. It's like a little camera. You might have seen this, right? It's like this. You put it on top of your chest. This has been a trend since February. In fact, I have this, but I tried it for like a week. I was like, hell no. Because I already had my winner, and I was like... But in fact, I kind of want to try it just out of curiosity. Because this is a very big winner, and it has proven to work because people has been running it till this day. Why? Why is it a winner till this day? Because when it first came out, okay, if you don't know this product, it's literally just a camera which you could put on your chest, and people could just record their activities. So why is this a winner till this day? Because of how flexible it is. So when it first started, it was for car fans. So you would go for like a night ride, and then you would put it on your chest. Nowadays, they're using it for football, for example. So if you want to play football, you can do it, like put it on your chest or even on your hat. Next one is for horse riding. or even skating on ice because it's like the holiday season. And so on. So hopefully this is a good example. You need to understand these products, they not only provide you more longevity, because if one of these niches doesn't work, you can just switch. So this didn't work, you switch, and then it doesn't work, then the last one would work, and I'll tell you why that would work. Can someone guess in the chat actually? Let's see. I'm gonna give you one moment. There might be a delay in the chat, but if there is one reason to why this would work, so why would it not work for car fans or football, but then it would work for skating or horse riding, is because the target audience is different. So if you haven't known by now, the harsh truth is, I don't know if it's harsh even, it's a good truth. The good truth is, demographics actually matter. So women, on average, they have a way higher likelihood to purchase than men. So based off that, you could try to find a niche which is, appealing to women, for example. So maybe horse riding or skating on ice would be more appealing to, I mean, honestly, this is like for everyone, but let's see, is there something that's, I guess, horse riding, because I've seen like a very successful brands, which are targeting like mainly that demographic. So yeah, just the fact that the target audience is different is changing the entire like brand in terms of CVR and just quality of leads. So next time you try to find a product, think of, how can I target a better quality lead? I'm not trying to tell you just to create brands for women. No, you could create brands for men, but try to make sure that the target audience is preferably like, I would say minimum of 21 plus for the product. So you don't want to be selling toys, for example, because the likelihood for people to actually buy is really low, unless it's like a very big trend and all the parents are buying it for the children. Maybe that would work, but yeah, you get it. Because I've seen a lot of proof that football, for example, does not work. There's maybe a few, like 1 in 10 products that may print with football niche, but yeah, for the most part it doesn't work. So that was the first point of the criteria, which is flexibility in terms of marketing. Next, so that was 1. 2, the second point of the criteria that it needs to tick is, preferably, you want to have some variance. Initially, this was not in my criteria, but I want to put it now because this has proven to increase the quality of your brand. Okay, so you want to make sure that your brand is unshakable, in terms of, running it long enough. So let's say you want to run it for 6-12 months. If you are just selling one product, it's very unlikely that people will only love this one product for the next 12 months. Instead, if you add, like, the best example here is the Lego products. It's not really Lego, it's like the bricks thing. So these products have proven to work over a very long time. And they actually like tick everything, by the way, from the criteria, because I'll explain. So 1, they're flexible. Very good example is so at the end of the day, it's all bricks, it's Legos, but then you would see a brand for creating custom cars. Another brand would be selling like a custom statue of you and your GF. So list goes on. You could create infinite amount of ideas with this product, which is just bricks. So it's a flexible product, but then it has variance. So we've seen a product recently, well, multiple products, for example, the car Legos. There's literally tens of brands which are doing well, and they would sell like 100 pre-made cars. So you would just pick the one you want, you purchase it, and then they send it to you. It's a DIY, so do it yourself. And if the manufacturer or the brand owner doesn't actually have the car you want, you could apply for a custom order, and then they'll ship it for you. So this looks more like a brand because one, you have a lot of more customizability, but then also variance. Okay, this was a very long. How long has this been? Like 20 minutes. I'm gonna take a quick break. I'll be RB, okay? Yeah, 35 minutes for 2 points. Let me know if you guys have any questions by then. BRB. Yo, yo, yo. We are back. Okay. So now I think we have went through the first two pillars. So the marketing. Yeah, so one, you need to be picking a product that's flexible, obviously. Second, it needs to have variants, preferably. This is optional, by the way, just like the Legos. And then thirdly, you need to make sure it's high ticket. So minimum would be $60 in my opinion. I would say the only, like, there's a few exceptions, but you need to make sure that if you want to sell something that's cheaper, it needs to have an upsell. So when I say $60, for example, I'm pretty sure the first example you might think is the bracelet. So there's like the car bracelet or whatever, which has been very viral, like in the F1 niche and other niches. These are like cheap, maybe 49 or something, 35, I don't know. So these are an exception. Why? Because they have a lot of variants and you could upsell them. So you'd buy like 2 for 50 or whatever. So yeah, obviously there's a few exceptions, but for the most part, trust me, go for high ticket because you have way more room for creating offers and just creating this high perceived value. for a brand to be strong enough, for a brand to be like, the easiest way to create a brand is to have a high perceived value, and the perceived value comes from the price, but also from, you know, the marketing, obviously. So you could argue that selling a product for, like, let's say a product has the potential to be up to like $100, and then you would sell it for 60, you're actually losing, because by increasing the price, you would just increase the perceived value that will present it as a quality product. So keep that in mind. Yeah, I would say like these are the most important ones from now. Like, I have more points on my criteria, but these are the most important. It just needs to be very flexible, can be picked for multiple niches. You could create different brands for the same product. That's a very important thing. So this same product right here, you could actually create like 3 different brands and run them separately. So that's how powerful it could be. So one could be for cars, one for horse riding, and then the third for skating. Thirdly is the marketing. So marketing is, once again, can be done multiple ways. You could either stitch, but I do not support stitching. Instead, I always preach for creating organic content every single day. So some people might say, you know, bulk film, but honestly, like, you could bulk film for 2 days, but for a week, I think it's actually a very risky move, because if you were to create content every day, you would have more influence over your next idea. So let's say you film for today, it doesn't work out. Tomorrow you could create a different thing instead of just creating the same thing over and over again. So you need to create content every day. That's one. 2, you need to actually invest into your background, like into your everything. So the lighting, for the most part, you need soft boxes. You don't need ring light unless you're selling like a very specific products. But yeah, ring lights really important, and that's 1. And then 2, you need a magnet phone holder, preferably. What else? And then just a good background that matches your product. So invest into your tools for filming. What else can I say for marketing? It's very like, it will depend from product to another. So create content every day, invest into your tools, and then thirdly, I would say you need to actually put it in like outside of your room. So let's say you usually work, let's say you waste time, you play video games. If you play in this corner right here where I'm recording, try to have a separate room for filming, because, or like a different corner, because you need to actually make it look professional or like serious. You don't want it to look ghetto. So actually invest, like paint or literally just wrap the entire wall, get like a new table, wrap it, get some props. Props are really important. If you have a 3D printer, it's a cheat code. I have one, and honestly, I've created so many props that probably got me a lot of sales. So change environment, important. And yeah, you just need to be professional about it, because I still remember when I first started, my background was very ghetto compared to now. So you need to take things seriously. Okay, so that's it for the first 3. Honestly, these will account for most things. The last thing is the supplier. Suppliers, trust me, go for Gosho Pro. This is turning into a speedrun. Alibaba, AliExpress, these 3. I wouldn't go for anything else. And preferably, I'm gonna give one last note for the product. So how would I find the product right as of 2026? Okay, so end of 2025 to 2026, I would go on my burn account. So if you don't know what a burn account is, it's gonna be on the last point. Finding products. Create a TikTok account. So I would argue TikTok is better for new trends. So finding new products, finding new trends, but finding brands is Instagram. So create a burn account on TikTok and IG, and then find or like scroll for literally 1 hour a day. Eventually, you're gonna see what's trending the most because you're gonna see it long enough and it's going the most viral. So make a list of 20 products, of the most viral products out of right now. You don't want to look at old products. And then check them on Instagram. If they have a big brand on Instagram for the same product, let's say you have a final 10 qualifiers, so 10 winning products, which are winning on Instagram and IG. Instagram and TikTok, I mean. At that moment, you could filter them using our criteria. This one. So make sure they can be marketed in different niches, they're high ticket, they have variants, and they have a passionate niche. So they have high quality / passionate niche. So you don't want to be selling something very generic. Try to sell something that's for a very specific target audience, whether it's for car fans, whether it's for what's on top of my head, like in terms of the most converting angles, I would say even I don't want to expose the product, guys. The second one would be something for women. I'll just put it that way. Product for women. Okay? So finding products, again, make these warmed up accounts, burn accounts, warm them up, check every single day. And then honestly, one thing which I haven't mentioned is Facebook. Sometimes you would notice that you're seeing the same product over and over again on TikTok and IG, but you wouldn't see it on Facebook. So that's where you could snap this product, even if it's very saturated, as long as it has a proven concept, take it to Facebook, post on Facebook, and then if it is actually a trendy product, it's going to blow up on Facebook, you're going to make a lot of sales. So this is actually the most underrated gold mine of 2026, and you should definitely focus on it. So I'm going to have a separate video for Facebook, but I'm going to give you a final sauce for Facebook. Create a page, not a personal account. Create a page for a business and start posting. Don't expect even 1,000 views for the first 50 posts. Post like 5 times a day. You could repost on Facebook and do it every single day for like a month plus before you start seeing results. It's like really hard to get into, but the moment it pays off in terms of views, it just keeps on rolling. It's like a snowball effect. So, or like a compounding effect. So that's probably the most, like the fastest I can get into it, because I've noticed this was a longer stream. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that's all you need to get started for now. And the very next video is going to be about the like more detailed Facebook video, because Facebook is a different game. And I feel like that's the only thing I haven't mentioned enough. Facebook. And in terms of niche growth, if you're wondering what is niche growth, when you create an IG account, same thing, you're gonna post for like a few weeks with no results. So you may as well just repost viral content in the same niche as yours and give them credit. So you're technically a theme page. And then once you start seeing something go viral, that's when you start presenting your product. And from that moment, you just keep on pushing your product. So that's a summary of what niche growth is. Yeah, that was the most comprehensive, transparent guide for 2026. Hopefully you guys have learned something new. I tried to be very fast for today, but if you want more details, I literally have like a 30-day boot camp of every single thing broken down into probably 100 hours. So yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Peace out, boys.